China just built a train that's faster than the speed of sound. You heard that right, faster than a fighter jet screaming through the sky. While the rest of the world celebrates trains that hit 200, maybe 300 miles per hour, China just shattered every limit we thought existed. But before we reveal just how insane this machine really is, you need to understand what it's competing against. Let's start with number 8. Shinkansen, Japan. Japan invented the game. Back in 1964, when most countries were still figuring out how to make trains go fast, Japan unveiled the Shinkansen, the bullet train that would change everything. You're traveling at 199 miles per hour through a country where every mile of track had to be carved through mountains, suspended over valleys, engineered to withstand earthquakes that would flatten normal railways. The Shinkansen doesn't just move fast, it moves with surgical precision. Since 1964, it's carried over 10 billion passengers without a single fatality from a train accident. Not one. You're safer on the Shinkansen, traveling at 199 miles per hour than you are in your car going 60. But here's what makes the Shinkansen legendary. It proved high-speed rail wasn't just possible, it was practical, profitable, and transformative. Japan took a 5-hour journey between Tokyo and Osaka and cut it to 2.5 hours. They didn't just connect cities. They created a civilization where distance became irrelevant. But Japan's achievement was just the beginning. Number 7. Korean Train Express. South Korea looked at their Japanese neighbors and said, "We're not staying behind." The KTX tears through the Korean peninsula at 205 miles per hour, connecting Seoul to Busan in 2 hours and 15 minutes, a journey that used to take over 5.5 hours. You're rocketing through tunnels carved into mountainsides, crossing bridges suspended over valleys, and the engineering is so precise that the train leans into curves like a motorcycle hugging a corner. South Korea didn't just build a fast train, they built a machine that shrunk an entire nation. Before the KTX, Seoul and Busan felt like different worlds. Now they're neighbors. And here's what hits differently. The KTX changed where people could live, where they could work, where they could build their lives. Speed became freedom, but the race was just heating up. Number 6. RENFE AVE Class 103. Spain brought elegance to speed. You're gliding through olive groves and medieval towns at 217 miles per hour on the RENFE AVE Class 103, and somehow, your coffee isn't even rippling. This is the train that connected Madrid to Barcelona in under 3 hours, turning a 6-hour journey into a morning commute. The Class 103 uses distributed traction technology. Power isn't just in one locomotive up front, it's spread throughout the entire train. Every car pulls its own weight. The result? Acceleration so smooth you don't feel it. Braking so precise it feels like the train is reading your mind. At 217 miles per hour, you're covering the length of a football field every single second. Blink, and you've traveled 318 feet. Spain proved that speed doesn't have to mean sacrificing comfort. Then Italy decided to make speed gorgeous. Frecciarossa 1000. Italy. Italy's Frecciarossa 1000 doesn't just move fast, it moves beautifully. You're cutting through the prize. Italian landscape at 245 miles per hour in a train that looks like it was designed by artists, not engineers. This machine is pure Italian ambition. No locomotives, just distributed power throughout every car. Traditional trains drag dead weight. The Frecciarossa 1000 said, "Why?" and put motors everywhere. The result? A train that accelerates like a sports car and rides smoother than silk. Alstom built this beast to be 98% recyclable, proving that speed doesn't have to destroy the planet. But here's what makes this train revolutionary. It's rewriting the economics of rail travel. Private competition drove innovation, and passengers won. Rome to Milan in under 3 hours, with leather seats and speeds that make driving feel prehistoric. And yet, The Europeans were about to be humbled. Number 4. Shanghai Maglev. Now we're leaving the ground. The Shanghai Maglev doesn't have wheels. It doesn't touch the track. You're floating on magnetic forces, suspended in the air, and you're traveling at 286 miles per hour. This is where everything you knew about trains becomes obsolete. Magnetic levitation maglev eliminates friction. No wheels grinding against rails, no mechanical resistance, just pure, frictionless speed. You board at Shanghai Pudong International Airport, and 7 minutes and 20 seconds later, you're 19 miles away in the city center. The acceleration is so smooth, you don't realize you're moving until you look outside and see the world dissolving into streaks. Here's what makes the Shanghai Maglev a turning point in history. It proved maglev technology wasn't science fiction. Since 2004, this train has carried over 100 million passengers without a single accident. China showed the world that magnetic levitation wasn't just possible, it was reliable, practical, and just the beginning. But conventional trains were about to throw one last punch. Number 3. TGV POS. France doesn't just play the speed game, they obliterate it. The TGV POS hit 357 miles per hour during a test run in 2007, and that record still stands as the fastest conventional rail speed ever recorded. You need to understand what conventional rail means. Steel wheels on steel tracks. No magnets, no levitation, just pure mechanical engineering pushed beyond its theoretical limits. When the TGV POS hit that speed, the engineers weren't testing a train, they were challenging the laws of physics. At 357 miles per hour, the air pressure waves created by the train were powerful enough to rattle buildings miles away. The G-forces made passengers feel like they were launching into orbit. But here's what stops you cold. In regular service, the TGV operates at only 200 miles per hour, because going faster would literally tear apart the infrastructure. France built a machine too powerful for the world's railways to handle. They proved what's possible when you refuse to accept limits. And then Japan said, "Hold our sake." Number 2. L0 Series Maglev. Japan's L0 Series Maglev hit 375 miles per hour in 2015, and when it did, the earth trembled. Not figuratively, literally. The shock waves from the train ripped through tunnels and rattled windows miles away. You need to grasp what 375 miles per hour means. You're traveling faster than most commercial airplanes at cruising altitude. You're moving so fast the human eye can barely process what's happening outside. Japan didn't just build a train, they built a ground-based missile that carries passengers. The L0 series uses superconducting magnets cooled to negative 452 degrees Fahrenheit, creating magnetic fields so powerful they lift a 16-car train effortlessly into the air. At top speed, the train floats 4 inches above the guideway, riding on an invisible cushion of electromagnetic force. But here's what makes this achievement staggering. Japan is spending over $90 billion to build a maglev line between Tokyo and Nagoya that will cut travel time from 90 minutes to 40 minutes. They're investing the GDP of a small country to save people 50 minutes. Because in Japan, time isn't money, time is everything. The L0 series proved that 375 miles per hour isn't science fiction. It's just engineering. You might think that's as fast as trains can go. You might think we've reached the absolute limit of ground transportation. You would be devastatingly wrong. Number 1. China's T-Flight Super Maglev. China just obliterated every record in existence. The T-Flight Super Maglev is targeting 621 miles per hour faster than the speed of sound. Not approaching it, exceeding it. You're breaking the sound barrier on the ground. This isn't a train anymore. This is a complete redefinition of what transportation can be. While Japan celebrates 375 miles per hour, China looked at that number and said, "That's not even close," then built something 65% faster. They did it by eliminating the one thing holding every other train back: air itself. The T-Flight operates in a near-vacuum tube, a low-pressure tunnel where air resistance is reduced by 90%. Without air pushing back, without friction, without limits, this machine achieves speeds that sound impossible. Here's what 621 miles per hour means in practice. Beijing to Shanghai, 819 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Right now, the fastest commercial flight takes 2 hours. This train is faster than flying. You could cross the entire United States, coast to coast, in 4.5 hours. Board in Los Angeles at breakfast. Arrive in New York before lunch. The engineering is beyond staggering. The train uses high-temperature superconducting Maglev technology combined with vacuum tube infrastructure, creating an environment where the train faces almost zero resistance. It's like traveling through space, but you never left Earth. In recent tests, China's state-owned aerospace corporation, yes, the people who build missiles, clocked over 387 miles per hour on just a 1.2-mile test track. And that was just Phase 1. They're extending the track to 37 miles to hit that 621 miles per hour target. The precision required is insane. The track is flat to within 0.3 millimeters. The 20-foot diameter vacuum tubes have a geometric tolerance of less than 2 millimeters. One test showed they can return the entire pipeline to normal pressure in 5 minutes, which means emergency evacuations are actually viable. But this isn't just about speed. This is about China rewriting the rules of civilization. Imagine trade routes where goods move at 621 miles per hour. Imagine living in one city and working in another 500 miles away, and your commute is 45 minutes. Imagine borders becoming meaningless because distance no longer matters. China isn't just building the world's fastest train, they're building the infrastructure for a world where geography becomes obsolete, where speed collapses space, where what was impossible yesterday is routine tomorrow. And they're not stopping at 621 miles per hour. Engineers are already working on configurations targeting 2,400 miles per hour. Yes, you heard that right. At that point, you're not traveling anymore. You're teleporting with extra steps. While the rest of the world debates high-speed rail, China is building vacuum tubes that shatter the sound barrier. While others celebrate breaking 300 miles per hour, China built something twice that fast. This is what happens when a nation decides that limits don't exist, that records are meant to be destroyed, that the word impossible is just a dare. The T-Flight Super Maglev doesn't just win the speed race. It ends it. Game over. There's nothing left to compete with. When you're traveling faster than sound itself, you're not the fastest train in the world, you're in a category that didn't exist until China created it. This isn't transportation anymore. This is science fiction becoming reality before our eyes.